Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Lady and the Lizard Show. And we're here to bring you the jolly good news.
Yep.
Because life is depressing if you soak in all that news out there in the world, bombs, explosions, people breaking up, and all kinds of crap. But did you know two strangers on a train got engaged a year later? They met on a train.
That's crazy.
Have you ever met anybody in a strange place and fell in love?
No.
Maybe in a pizza parlor? This couple, who met briefly on the late night train, and remember that song by Guns N' Roses, The Night Train?
Nope.
Okay, you don't like him, I know. But he proposed to her, and exactly 1 year later, on December 8th, 2025, they were married. I believe in marriage, personally. I think that that's the only way you're really going to have a good, solid...
Merry life?
A merry life. You know, get married. So that is good news. It also reminds me there's a movie with Ethan Hawke. And I got to tell you, if you love love stories, okay, this is the greatest cerebral romance of all time. It's called Until Sunset. And then 10 years later, they made another movie, and it was called Until Midnight. And then the final movie was called, I think, Before Sunrise.
I've heard of none of them.
Maybe I got it all wrong, but you look that up. It's a trilogy with Ethan Hawke and a French actress. And the love is gorgeous. The cerebral conversations are great. Mm-hmm. But moving on to more jolly good news. Yeah. Thousands kissed under a giant mistletoe for a world record. People gathered under a 10-foot mistletoe in Washington, D.C.
That sounds like the purest orgy I've ever heard of.
That is disgusting. We will not have anything to do with that word. To set a Guinness World Record for festive kisses, this happened December 13th, 2025. And I got to say that I always think about, when I think about mistletoe, I think about Catwoman and Batman 2. Remember when Batman says to her, mistletoe can be deadly when you eat it. And then she says, a kiss can be even deadlier if you mean it. And that's so true. I was dating someone recently, and things went way too fast because as soon as we started kissing, which was the first date pretty much, I allowed myself to have these feelings that were way too rushed, and we ended up breaking up 10 days later, but she was a good lass. So that is so cool. Giant mistletoe. I'd love to see a picture of that. I think we've got one behind us.
Yeah, we might.
So moving on, there's one last story we wanted to tell you guys. So... on New Year's Eve, in New York City this year, that they didn't just drop the ball in Times Square, they dropped these amazing little notes as part of a beloved annual tradition. Thousands of handwritten wishes of 2026 collected throughout December from Times Square wishing wall, in person and online, were mixed into over 3,000 pounds of colorful confetti. When the ball dropped at midnight on December 31st, 2025, these uplifting messages of hope, loving kindness, and health and peace fluttered down all over the crowd in NYC. Examples included wishes for more love and kindness, personal goals like better health, and broader dreams for a peaceful world, turning the iconic celebration into a shower of collective optimism for the new year. And, you know, I personally think that we have to bathe in the good stuff every day. We got to be putting good things in our heads. So I think this is such a great thing that somebody was creative enough to think of this. And we got to think of more creative ways. You know, if you're making your lover a sandwich, you know, maybe what you do is you put a little message in there and say, hey, remember what Confucius said, or Jim Rohn, that the value of the past is how you invest it in the future. Or, you know, what's another good saying throughout the time? Any proverbs in that head of yours?
Proverbs? Not really.
A friend of mine once said, don't make love to her, make love with her. And that could mean whatever you want it to mean, but in marriage is what I'm talking about, not like the
evil fornicators.
Well, you don't want to fornicate.
The ones that fornicate get killed.
I know that it's your inclination to do that, but really you're going to be happier if you actually do a courtship and have a relationship. Anyway, that was the jolly good news, and stay tuned for Motivation Station. All right, welcome to Motivation Station here on the Lady and the Lizard Show. And tonight we're going to be talking about this book right here. Blade, why don't you hold it up and let everybody see what it is. Read it out loud.
Get anyone to do
Anything. Because at Motivation Station, you don't just motivate yourself. You want to motivate other people to do what you want them to do. Now, of course, we mean this in jest, but shut up and listen anyway, because I'm trying to make you do stuff. Now, this book talks about that people act to satisfy emotional needs. Behavior is driven less by logic and more by emotional payoff, security, importance, or relief from discomfort. To influence someone, appeal to what they emotionally gain. So, if you went and cleaned my room right now, I mean, you would feel really good about cleaning my room. You would feel like a better person, Make people feel in control. Resistance disappears when people believe they're acting by their choice, man. Frame requests so that other people feel empowered rather than pressured. People, you can catch a lot more flies with honey than sugar. Actually, it doesn't make any sense, but
No.
well, honey's sweeter than sugar, so that's my point, man. All right, so use identity, not arguments. People act in ways consistent with how they see themselves. If you align your request with their self-image, you're someone who compliance increases. Well, you seem like somebody who likes to have a good time and likes to have a light beer, But don't go crazy with that, because drunkards go down the path of darkness. Okay, now, point number 4, lower psychological resistance. Direct demands trigger defensiveness. Softening language and indirect phrasing keeps the mind open and cooperative. Now, you've got this powerful book in your hands. Show people what it is again. It's called How to Get Anyone to Do Anything by David J. Lieberman. Now, I've actually read that book long ago. I underlined some things. What do we got in there?
You're right, I'm sorry. That's one of the other.
You're right, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Then remove yourself from the situation.
Are you speaking loud enough?
I have no idea.
Okay. So give us something again.
Let's see here. What's underlined? Never argue with anyone who is crazier than you. Do whatever you can to make him think that you're nuts.
Does it say that?
Yeah, it does, right there. You underlined it.
It says, never argue with anyone who is crazier than you. Do whatever you can to make him think that you're nuts. So if you're dating a girl and she's acting crazy, you've got to out crazy the crazy?
Yeah.
All right. You've been watching Motivation Station. We're going to continue on with a few more points here on the Lady and the Lizard show. Avoid confrontation at all costs. Winning an argument loses influence. Agreeing emotionally first, then redirect behavior without triggering ego defense. Lego my ego. Remember that waffle? Lego my ego.
Yeah.
You a waffle guy?
I like waffles, but only if they have peanut butter in them.
So, if I had a waffle here, would you want to participate? No, I'm just going to leave it there, and if you want it, you can have it.
Okay.
When people don't realize they're being influenced, they believe the decision was their own.
Yeah.
And that was Motivation Station. Motivate other people to do what you want.
Yeah.
Don't just motivate yourself.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, we're going to wrap this up. Man, I'm telling you, motivation for me has always been I want to be attractive to whoever I'm going to meet in the future, So I'm I got to stay in the gym because, I'm getting older and I'd like to date someone who's attractive. And I'm what am I going to offer them? Something that's not? So that's what motivates me, being worthy of what I seek.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a princess, a pop celebrity, perhaps someone in Norway that's Norwegian and really hot and maybe 10 years younger than you or so, you've got to raise the bar, man. You can't just be walking around with hair on a chubby chest. You don't want boobs. Not on a guy. Unless that's your thing, I'm not going to criticize, but I'm saying I want to go to church, meet a good girl, but I definitely don't want to really like brainwash anyone. This was a segment. We were kind of joking, but let's just say you want to go to a certain restaurant. You may want to have good persuasion skills. That's all we're saying. So thanks for listening to Motivation. You're supposed to say station, man.
Oh yeah, station.
Motivation
Station.
All right, Lady and the Lizard out. Stay tuned for the next segment, which is the Bookatorium. We know that's a book, but this was specifically motivation.
Yeah, that's another book.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, Lady and the Lizard show, and we're here at the Bookatorium, man. And let me tell you, we're talking to Misato about that, our good friend, the AI. Misato, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. How about you? Hope you're having a good day so far.
I want to talk to you about a book called A Time to Dance, A Time to Die. Have you heard of it?
Yes, absolutely. It's a pretty well-known book by David James Duncan. It blends memoir and reflection, and it touches on themes of life, death, and the interconnectedness of everything. Are you thinking about reading it, or do you have something specific in mind?
I'm thinking about doing a play about it, but tell us a little about what happened. The girl started dancing. She could not stop dancing, much like the Red Shoes, that old fairy tale.
That sounds like a fascinating project. The book indeed has that compelling storyline where the girl becomes almost entranced by dance, and it echoes that eerie, obsessive quality of the Red Shoes. It definitely lends itself to a really dramatic adaptation. Let me know if you need any details or ideas for the play.
Some people say that the reason why they were dancing and they couldn't stop is because there was ergot, some kind of a poison in the water supply, and it made them kind of have like an LSD effect.
Absolutely, that's a fascinating theory. The idea of ergot poisoning has been suggested in historical contexts, like the Dancing Plague of 1518. Ergot is a fungus that can grow on rye and other grains and can cause hallucinations and convulsions, almost like an LSD effect. It definitely adds an intriguing layer of mystery to the narrative.
It could have been the Sanderson sisters. Hocus Pocus. They cursed all the parents in town to dance.
So you think it could be witchcraft?
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility that gets explored in a lot of historical and fictional contexts. The idea of witchcraft influencing people's behaviour definitely ties into that whole mystical and eerie vibe. It adds a lot of depth and mystery to the narrative for sure.
Thank you, Misato. So I'm just going to read the introduction from this book, A Time to Dance, A Time to Die. Brady, have you ever just danced uncontrollably?
No.
On July 14th, 1518, somewhere amid the narrow lanes, the congested wharves, the stables, workshops, forges, and fairs of the medieval city of Strasbourg, Frau Troffe stepped outside and began to dance. So far as we can tell, no music was playing, and she showed no signs of joy as her skirts flew up around her rapidly moving legs. To the consternation of her husband, she went on dancing throughout the day, and as the shadows lengthened and the sun set behind the city's half-timbered houses, it became clear that Frau Troffe simply could not stop. Only after many hours of crazed motion did she collapse from exhaustion. Bathed in sweat and with muscles twitching, she finally sank into a brief restorative sleep. Then, a few hours later, she resumed her solitary jig. Now, my friends, what a great idea that would be for a musical. So if you're looking for an idea for a musical, somebody make that, and I'll make one too, and we can compare notes. But that is the book, A Time to Dance, A Time to Die, written by John Walker. It's fascinating. It could have been witchcraft. It could have been, a fungus in the water, like ergot or something like that made them hallucinate. But the whole town started dancing, apparently, and would not stop. And this actually happened more than once, not just in the year 1518, but it happened in other time periods as well.
Dancing plagues.
Yeah.
It's
What other years, Misato, did the dancing plague happen besides 1518, and where did they happen?
Yes, dancing plagues or dancing mania did occur at other times and places. For example, there was a smaller outbreak in 1374 in the town of Aachen in what is now Germany. Another incident happened in the 16th century in different parts of Europe, including France and Italy. These events are still somewhat mysterious, and historians have debated the causes, whether it was mass hysteria, ergot poisoning, or even social and religious factors.
Did this ever happen in the United States of America?
Well, the most famous dancing plagues are from medieval Europe. There was a notable incident in the United States known as the Dancing Plague of 1848 in the town of Baltimore, Maryland. It involved a group of people who began dancing uncontrollably, and the phenomenon is often thought to have been linked to mass hysteria or psychological factors. It's definitely an intriguing part of American history.
That is wonky bonkers.
Righty. I don't think I can.
Absolutely, it really is. History is full
Oh
of
my
these.
goodness. Oh.
Absolutely.
So, you started, did you?
Yes.
I did? Okay. What's up? Welcome to the Lady and the Lizard Show. This segment is called Cinesnobs. Why? Because when it comes to film and cinema, I am an absolute snob, and I know this man is too. Lately, I've been watching The House of David on Amazon, and I gotta tell you, that's probably the best thing I've seen on TV in a long time. What about you, man? What have you been watching?
I would have been watching a little bit of Dawson's Creek.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What station are you watching that on?
I don't know, somewhere on the internet.
Well, also the other day, let's see what else did I put on that was good. I didn't finish it. I started it watching this anime called The Wolf Children.
Wolf Children. What's
And
that
it was
about?
about this woman who met a guy in college, but he didn't go to the college, and she followed him out there, and they struck up a romance, and it turned out that he was actually a changeling, and he would change into a wolf and change into a man, and then they fell in love, and I was quite horrified when they actually had a love scene, and he was a dog, and then they had kids. And then, I don't want to ruin the movie, but then the dog died. She's stuck pregnant with these kids that could transform into wolf children, man.
Yeah. Well, that's...
It was interesting. It was
Sad
interesting.
story.
I kind of felt guilty watching it, though, because it was basically like a Nephilim bestiality kind of thing. But leave it to the Japanese. It's a revered and beloved anime, actually. A lot of people talk about liking the Wolf Children.
Yeah. Anime. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the live-action One Piece?
I did not know.
That was delicious. I thought it was great. The next season's coming out. A lot of great things are coming out this year, okay? We've got the return of One Piece Season 2. We've got the return of Peaky Blinders and the movie, and they're continuing the series. And then we got Star Trek Starfleet Academy, which, it looks like it's going to be terrible, man. But I'm going to watch it because Robert Picardo is reprising his role as the holographic doctor. And then Paul Giamatti, I think he plays like a Romulan or something.
I feel like it's gonna be garbage, and
Yeah.
that's...
Yeah, but I heard Star Trek now is being taken over by the guys who directed Dungeons and Dragons and Spider-Man No Way Home. So,
Yeah.
Also this month premiering is the new Game of Thrones. It's called the Knights of the Seven Kingdom, and I think it might be called Something an Egg. Have you heard about this?
No.
Well, because
I keep up with nothing.
I was a big Game of Thrones fan. These days, though, I'm trying to watch more rated G stuff. I was actually watching this new show called The Landman. It was on Paramount. It has Billy Bob Thornton. And I was enjoying it because it had a pretty good story at the beginning. But then it just got a little too perverse for me. And these days, I'm trying to walk the straight and narrow. But it looked like it'd be good if you're not sensitive to that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm not, so...
Right. So
What's it called?
Landman.
Landman.
Yeah. So I've been watching a lot of Highway to Heaven.
I've seen an episode of that. Wow.
Well, I've been trying to get you into that show because it's so heartfelt. Michael Landon, he was a veteran of TV. For years, Little House on the Prairie. Before that, he did, I think, Bonanza. And then eventually had the know-how and the experience to direct his own shows. I believe that he directed a lot of Little House on the Prairie. He definitely directed and wrote the show The Highway to Heaven, though. And he said in an interview once, if you want to get into people's heads and get an audience, you have to capture their heart first,
Yeah. What I remember that one episode is it was pretty good.
Tell us some of your favorite movies, Brady.
My favorite movies? Oh, let's see here. Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus.
I have to admit, back when I watched that kind of movie, I thought it was great. Did you see the sequel?
I did not. I hear it's awful is not strong enough of a word.
Really?
But I'm going to use that.
Yeah. Well, Sarah Jessica Parker, she's still attractive?
I have no idea.
I was always attracted to Bette Midler a little bit when she was young, mainly because of her personality. She was so outgoing, and I think she was Jewish. And I have a thing for Jewish girls, especially that girl from that band, Haim. It's a very
Haim?
There's a
Haim?
There's a band called Haim, and they have these great songs that I really like off this one album, but I forgot the name of the album. But the song I really like is called "If I Could Change Your Mind," and "Forever." They're just fantastic. My ex-girlfriend got me into them, and she kind of looks like one of the people. But what really got me into them even more was a movie. Back to the subject of movies, it's called Licorice Pizza. And what a bizarre tale that was about taboo love story, younger guy, older girl. And he's in high school, and she comes in as, the people who take the high school photos. And he's a genius, and he's a young film star. Mm-hmm. And he just doesn't let up. And they have this really strange love story, because at first she's pushing him away, because I think she's like, 25, and he might be like, 15, which was really weird, But,
yeah, there was some of that weirdness in Dawson's Creek, too.
Yeah. Especially, in modern times, people are really waking up to that, because back in the day, you'd have all these songs like Christine 16, She's Only 17 with Winger, and now everyone's like, hey, and I get that. That's, there should be boundaries, especially as we're awaking with better ethics. But back to movies, let's see, what else am I looking forward to this year? Me and we're making a movie called The Treehouse Lounge. We have a production company called 80s Cheese. We're going to do something in the vein of like Steven Seagal, Van Damme, that kind of thing. Yeah. Now, we're still going to go that route. We decided what we're going to do first is probably just stick to making a web show, which this will be part of. Like, from now on, our show is going to start off with 2 to 4 skits, like Saturday Night Live. And then it's going to go into a music video. And we have a new song we're putting out called The Study of Fun. Yeah. It's kind of like a cross between hip-hop and really bad 80s horror movie and maybe Danzig on crack. But
the Beastie Boys wrote a Depeche Mode song.
Right. That's actually more accurate. Like if Beastie Boys wrote a song with 9 Inch Nails or something like that. So look forward to that. Like I said, we're starting this off from now on. Next week we'll start doing cinema. We might even do some tonight. Writing skits, Seinfeldian, Woody Allen type stuff, but clean, unlike them. And it's going to be humor and cinema. And then after that we'll go into our music video each week, or maybe a jam session. And then we're going to do, our podcast, as you're seeing tonight. So it's going to be great. We're going to start making T-shirts and trying to really find our place out there in the media and in the art world. And so let's close with a couple more great movies. What are your favorite?
Well, other than Hocus Pocus, my other favorite movies, probably Night of the Demons.
Night of the Demons.
That's a good one. There's a night and there's demons.
I used to be into horror movies. I did. And back when I was into horror movies, my brother and I, we watched a movie called The Ghoulies. And we had never seen it. We walked, back in the day there was video stores, so we'd walk up and down the aisles. And a lot of the movies we didn't see, but we remembered the boxes. And one of the boxes that scared the crap out of me when I was a kid, Ghoulies 2. It was this demon coming out of a toilet. And I could not crap on a toilet for probably my entire childhood.
I can't remember if I've seen that one or not.
Not without thinking about the demon
You know, another
taking my bum.
fantastic movie that I'll never be able to get you to watch. The Filthy McNasty
No.
series. Fantastic film.
I'm a very different man these days. But there are still a lot of good, clean movies. And, you know, let's just cheers to Rob Reiner, because he's the one that made one of my favorite movies, The Princess Bride. And I was just telling Brady, I watched the movie When Harry Met Sally, and he made that too. And I just sang, "You want potatoes, we want potatoes. Let's go the whole thing off."
You
I
did?
thought it was, did you like that song when I played it for you?
It's alright.
Hell yeah. But
We're big on the, what do you call it? Is that jazz?
Louis Armstrong. Oh, I guess it's jazzy. I don't know. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Cinesnobs. We're kind of doing a bit of a rush job tonight because it is late and we've had to revise some new stuff. We have 2 shows out, so if you like what you're hearing tonight, check out our 2 other shows.
Including the other one, remember?
Show number 0?
Yeah, there's episode 0.
There's episode 0. This is going to be the 3rd episode, and if we have time tonight, we might do a couple skits, but I think we're probably just going to save those to next week. But we might do a jam, and we might read, we have another segment called the Sleepwalker's Lounge, where we read a bedtime story, and I'll do that by the fireplace. And yeah, we have this book, and I think it's called the Abernoth Archive of children's literature, and it's a good bedtime story. Last week I read Johnny Appleseed, which, back to movies, my brother and I were going to watch a rendition talking about good, clean stuff. Shelley Duvall had something called the Shelley Duvall Fairy Tale Theater, and it's excellent. It's all on YouTube, available for free. A lot of celebrities in a very much like a psychedelic theater format. You should really check it out.
I believe there were frogs in that.
All the Robin Williams was in the first episode as the Frog Prince. All the things she did in the fairy tale theaters. I mean, the stories go straight back to all the ancient fairy tales. So it was just such a great thing that happened in the 80s. And then she did a couple things after that. And you know, rest in peace, Shelley Duvall. She just died recently. But all those are free on YouTube. And I found one that was separate from the show, but it was Tall Tales, I think. And it's Martin Short as Johnny Appleseed.
This is bringing some memories.
So we're going to watch that tomorrow night. But anyway, stay tuned for the children's literature. I mean, this stuff goes back hundreds of years. I've got this encyclopedia of all these things. So stay tuned. That's the next segment. Thank you for watching Lady Lizard Show. This was Cinesnobs.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Sleepwalker's Lounge at the Lady and the Lizard Show. Today we're reading from the book, the Arbuthnot Anthology of Children's Literature, and this particular section is called Time for Poetry, How Ridiculous. This story is by Henrik Hoffman, the story of Johnny Head in Air. As he... Hold on, I'm going to get my lighting right here. Okay, here we go. As he trudged along to school, it was always Johnny's rule to be looking at the sky and the clouds that floated by. But what just before him lay in his way, Johnny never thought about, so that everyone cried out, "Look at little Johnny there, little Johnny Head in Air." Running just in Johnny's way came a little dog one day. Johnny's eyes were still astray, up on high in the sky, and he never heard them cry, "Johnny, mind the dog is nigh!" Bump, dump, down they fell with such a thump, dog and Johnny in a lump. Once, with head as high as ever, Johnny walked beside the river. Johnny watched the swallows trying, which was cleverest at flying. Oh, what fun! Johnny watched the bright round sun going in and coming out. This was all he thought about. So he strode on, only think, to the river's very brink, where the bank was high and steep, and the water very deep. And the fishes in a row stared to see him coming so. One more step, oh, sad to tell, headlong in poor Johnny fell. And the fishes in dismay wagged their tails and ran away. There lay Johnny on his face with the nice red writing case. But as they were passing by, two strong men had heard him cry, and with sticks, with two strong men, hooked poor Johnny out again. Oh, you should have seen him shiver when they pulled him from the river. He was in a sorry plight, dripping wet in such a fright, wet all over, everywhere, clothed, arms and face and hair. Johnny never will forget what it is to be so wet. And the fishes, 1, 2, 3, are coming back again, you see. Up they came the moment after, to enjoy the fun and laughter. Each popped out his little head, and to tease poor Johnny said, "Silly little Johnny, look, you have lost your writing book." And that was the story of Johnny Head in Air by Henrik Hoffman from the book of the Anne Bernat Anthology of Children's Literature. This book actually is a very old book, and if we look here, we can see that it actually came out in 1961, dedicated to this person's niece, Margaret Elizabeth Hill. So, enjoy literature, enjoy poetry. That probably wasn't the best poem to share, but hopefully you enjoyed it. That was the Sleepwalkers Lounge for tonight. Thank you. Lady Lizard Show.
Thanks for watching The Lady and the Lizard Show.